I work nights for the county sheriff's office, graveyard shift, the kind of hours where the world feels unfinished, like God clocked out early and left the rest to flicker under streetlights. I've been on the force a little over 4 years now, long enough to stop flinching at radio static, and long enough to know when something feels off even before dispatch finishes talking. Most nights are quiet, suspicious vehicles parked too long, noise complaints from people who think midnight rules don't apply to them. Welfare checks on elderly folks whose mail piles up. The occasional DUI who swears they only had one drink even though the smell tells a different story. You learn patterns. You learn which calls are usually nothing and which ones tend to spiral. This one came in around 2:17 a.m. Dispatch said it was a welfare check. Neighbor reported hearing rhythmic banging from the house next door for hours. Not loud enough to sound violent, just persistent. Like someone knocking from inside. The caller said it stopped every time they went outside to listen and started again once they went back in. That detail bothered me more than the noise itself. The address was in a newer development edge of town. Lots of identical houses with vinyl siding and small fenced yards, the kind of place where people wave politely but don't really know each other. I'd been to that street once before for a stolen package report. Nothing memorable about it. When I pulled up, the house was dark. No porch light, no interior lights. Every other house on the block had at least something glowing, a TV flicker or a kitchen light left on overnight. There was a car in the driveway though, a silver sedan, windows fogged from the cold. Someone was home. I stepped out of my cruiser and the quiet felt heavier than usual. No insects, no distant traffic, just the hum of my engine cooling and the soft crunch of gravel under my boots. I knocked, loud enough to be heard over a TV if one was on. No answer. I knocked again and announced myself. Sheriff's office. Still nothing. That was when I heard it. 3 dull thumps. Slow, evenly spaced, not from the door, from somewhere inside the house. I stepped back and listened. The sound stopped. I walked along the side yard toward the backyard fence. As soon as my boots hit the grass, the banging started again. Same rhythm, same spacing. It wasn't frantic, it wasn't panicked. It sounded deliberate. The back door was locked, curtains drawn tight over the sliding glass. I shined my flashlight through the gap and saw nothing but darkness. I radioed for another unit, explained what I had, and requested a welfare check entry if no one responded. While I waited, I checked windows. All locked, all covered, except one. A small basement window at the back corner of the house was uncovered. The glass was intact, but I could see into the basement. That's where the sound was coming from. Thump, thump, thump. I crouched and shined my light inside. The basement was unfinished. Concrete walls, exposed beams, a single bulb hanging from a wire in the center of the room, swaying slightly, and beneath it, facing the wall, was a man. He was standing inches from the concrete, forehead pressed against it, arms hanging limp at his sides, and every few seconds he leaned forward and hit his head against the wall, not hard enough to knock himself out, just hard enough to make that dull sound. I shouted, told him to stop, told him to turn around. He didn't react. I broke the window and reached inside to unlock it, calling out the entire time. When I climbed in, the smell hit me immediately. Damp concrete and something sour underneath it. Up close, I could see blood smeared on the wall where his forehead had been striking. It had dried in layers. This hadn't been happening for just a few minutes. "Sir," I said, hand hovering near my holster, "I need you to turn around." He stopped moving. The silence pressed in. Then he spoke softly, without turning. He said not to. My skin prickled. "Who said not to?" I asked. His head tilted slightly, just enough for me to see his eye roll in its socket, straining to look at me without breaking whatever rule he was following. "The one upstairs," he whispered. "If I stop, he comes back down." I backed toward the stairs, never taking my eyes off him. The banging hadn't been random. It had been preventative. I climbed the basement steps 2 at a time and unlocked the door for backup just as another unit pulled up. I briefed them quickly and we went in together. The main floor was immaculate. Too immaculate. No dishes. No clutter. Furniture arranged like a model home. The stairs leading up creaked under our weight. At the top was a closed door. From behind it came a soft, wet breathing sound. We announced ourselves, ordered whoever was inside to come out. The breathing stopped. Then the door opened slowly. The room beyond was empty, No furniture, no windows, just bare walls, except for the floor. Carved into the hardwood were symbols. Deep grooves, cut with something sharp. They spiraled inward toward a dark stain at the center of the room. The stain was fresh. Behind us, from the basement, the banging started again. Faster this time. Desperate. We never found anyone upstairs. And, when we went back down, the man in the basement was gone. Only blood on the wall, still warm. The second story I'm about to tell happened 2 years later. Different district, different partner, but it still lives in the same part of my head. It was a missing person call. Teenage girl, 16, last seen walking home from a friend's house after dark. Her phone last pinged near a wooded trail that cut behind an abandoned industrial site. Those trails had a reputation. Kids dared each other to go in at night. People swore they heard voices coming from the trees. I didn't put much stock in that at first. We split up to search. My partner took the trailhead while I circled the old factory building. Broken windows, rusted doors, graffiti layered over graffiti, a place forgotten on purpose. I found her backpack near the loading dock. Then, her shoes, placed neatly side by side. That's when I heard singing. A woman's voice, low and tuneless, drifting from inside the building. I followed it. Inside, the air was colder. The singing echoed strangely, like the walls were swallowing parts of it. I found a room deep in the structure where the sound was coming from. The girl was sitting on the floor, unharmed, eyes wide, staring forward. In front of her stood an old woman, gray hair hanging in clumps, bare feet blackened with dirt. She was rocking back and forth, humming now instead of singing. I ordered her to step away from the girl. She turned slowly and smiled. "She listens," the woman said. "Most don't." Backup arrived quickly. The woman was taken into custody without a fight. The girl wouldn't speak. Not that night. Not ever again. Later, during the investigation, we learned the woman had been declared dead 10 years earlier. A recluse who wandered into the woods and was never found. Dental records matched. No one could explain how she'd aged backward. The last call I'll tell you about is the one that made me transfer off nights. It was just after 4 a.m., when dispatch sent me to a rural address for a 911 hang-up. No response on callback. Landline. Old farmhouse miles from the nearest neighbor. The driveway was long and unlit. Trees closed in overhead, blocking out the sky. I announced myself at the door. It swung open. Inside, the house was silent. No signs of a struggle. No people. The phone was off the hook. I walked room to room, calling out. Then I heard footsteps above me, slow, heavy, like someone pacing. I climbed the stairs. At the end of the hall was a door that hadn't existed on the floor plan. It was freshly painted. The color didn't match anything else in the house. The footsteps stopped behind it. I put my hand on the knob, and from the other side, a voice whispered my name. Perfectly. Exactly how my mother used to say it. I don't remember leaving the house. I just remember sitting in my cruiser afterward, hands shaking, radio screaming with unanswered calls. When another unit arrived, they searched the house. There was no extra room, no door, no one living there. The 911 call was traced. It came from inside my cruiser. I don't work nights anymore. Some people think the dark hides things. I know better. The dark listens, and sometimes it answers.